This is set up much like the other rooms that we've drawn. The furniture has sofas, we see a fireplace, all these kind of things we've done before. We got some kitchen cabinets, we haven't really done that before. This is the corner of a house that's set up with a gable roof. So let's draw an elevation drawing. It's going to help us understand how this house works. Halfway through that house, the roof peaks up here and slopes down on either side. So this is the living room here, which is 16 feet tall. So if you come here, this is 16 feet. Halfway up through there, we're going to say is 8 feet. So this is going to be 8 feet, and this is going to be 8 feet. This is going to be your kitchen, and this is going to be a loft. What you're seeing here is the floor plan of the living room, and there's a kitchen over here. So you see how this says kitchen, and there's a patio outside of here. So the ceiling peaks 16 feet high at this corner, and then it slopes down here to 10 feet high. Let's take some notes in here. This says 15, I'm gonna have you make that 16. It's gonna make this project a little bit easier. And if the side it says 15, I'm gonna have you make that 16 as well. So you should have 16 feet here and 16 feet here and 16 feet here that comes out to this pillar right here. We're gonna make our fireplace 4 feet. And we're going to make these spaces 6 feet. So that'll give us 12 plus 4 is 16. To do a 1-point perspective drawing, we draw this elevation basically in the back of our page, right? So we don't want to come down below half of our page. So let's draw out a line about halfway across our page, maybe just a little bit above that. A horizontal that's going to set us up so we can use the top half of our paper for that elevation and put furniture out in here. Let's go up near the top half of our paper and say that that's going to be our 16 feet high. So I've put a line up here, and I've put a line just above the halfway point of my page here. I'm going to say that's 16. So I'm going to take the end of my pencil, I'm going to take the blue part of my pencil here. I'm going to line it up with the top, and I'm going to pinch my pencil at the end of that line. And I'm going to turn it this way so that I get the same distance along here, the same height as width. I want a 16 by 16 foot box. This is the elevation of the back wall. It slopes to 10 and it's 16 over here. So if this is 16, put over here in the left corner a little ruler. This is 16 and this is 0. So halfway up is 8. Half of that is 4 and 12. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. I've got myself a ruler. While I'm at it, why don't I put a ruler on the floor? Halfway across is 8. I'm going to give myself a 12 and a 4. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, and 16. Now it's time to get this slope in the roof. So it's 16 to there, and it's only 10 to here. So come up here to the 10 and draw a horizontal line straight across. Get a point over here. So this is 10. And then just dot to dot to get that gable in. If you need to lighten up this line here, or this line here, this is now the elevation of the back wall. I am going to make a horizon line at 5 feet. So I'm going to come up here to the 5. I'm going to draw to the right side of the page and the left side of the page. I'm looking at the top of my page. If I want to, I can take my pencil and I can pinch it and say there's 5 right there. There's 5 right there. Maybe I want to go off over here and say there's a point that I can aim to. Here's a point that I can aim to. Since I'm going long distances here, it doesn't hurt for me to have a little bit of a guideline to go right and left on. That's my 5-foot horizon line. I'm going to draw as if I'm standing right here and looking back to this wall up here. So my vanishing point's going to be right in the middle. I'm going to come right here to my 8. I'm going to give myself a vanishing point. I know my vanishing point goes down to the corners of the room, so I'm going to draw down to the bottom corner and to the other bottom corner. Then I'm going to project that line ongoing out towards the edge of my paper. Give myself some floor lines. At the top corners, I'm going to come down to this 10-foot corner on the right, and I'm going to draw up to that corner. And I'm going to continue that out to the edge of the page. And I'm going to draw up to this 16-foot corner, and I'm going to continue that out onto the edge of the page. So my ceiling is a little weird, but here's the right wall, and here's the left wall, and here's the floor, and here's the ceiling. My next step is to take my 16 feet and bring it out into the room. Give myself a 16 right here. And then draw horizontally across my page to get 16 over here. If I want to measure from here to the bottom of the page, and bring that over here so that it's exactly the same where it hits this. If you want to turn your page upside down so you're looking at the edge of the page, whatever it is you do, get yourself a nice straight line drawn across there. Now I'm going to X the room off, just like this floor plan has been X'd off across here. I'm going to go from this corner to that point. So put my pencil here, my eye over there. And my pencil here and my eye up there. That gives me an X, which is the center of my room. I go for my vanishing point through that X. I'm going to smudge my 8 over just a little bit because it looks like I had that wrong. If I draw a horizontal line here at the X, I know that this is 8 feet out. And that's this line right here. Halfway between here and the 16 is my 8. And I want to finish off that Union Jack by pulling lines here, here, and here, and here. And if I want to draw these lines across, I get a 4 and a 12. Our chimney, we said, is 4 feet wide. So here I have 8. Here I've got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. It looks like I'm going to go from 6 to 10. Is that 4 feet? Yeah. Go 2 feet on either side of that 8-foot mark. Pull your chimney. This isn't actually the edge of the chimney we're going to see, so you want to draw very lightly. This is the edge of the chimney that attaches to the back wall. Let's make those cabinets about 2 feet high. Become horizontally across the back of this at 2 feet. We'll set up cabinets in the back of the room. Let's put our fireplace opening at 3 feet. Now, the fireplace needs to come into the room, so these lines that we have out here actually aren't going to be the edges that I'm going to see. We need to come out a little bit, don't we? It doesn't come to this X here, so let's draw a line between this X here. We know that's going to be 4 feet out in the room, right? If I draw this line over the wall, I know that's 12. So this only comes out like 2 or 3 feet out, right? So back behind this line I've drawn right here, I'm just going to go about halfway between here and there. I'm going to give myself a foot for the front of the hearthstone of the fireplace. And I'm going to come away from vanishing point to bring that out into the room. Then I'm going to go halfway back along there to say if that's my hearthstone here, this is where my chimney's going to go up here. And I'm going to draw a line just outside of this line. And a line just outside of this line. To show how my chimney is going to come out under the room. At the top of the room, I need to get depth too. So I'm going to come from this point away from the vanishing point, and from this point away from the vanishing point into the room. So these are going to come up actually above the ceiling, and then this is going to copy this line here. I'm just going to repeat that slope for the fireplace so that my room drops this way and this way, and my chimney comes out over top of it. On the height. I can go here and create a little step for my hearthstone, but I see that there's a sofa right here. I'm probably going to cover it. I'm just going to imagine it in here in case I can see it through there just a little bit. Then I'm going to go from the foot here up to 3 feet. And I'm not going to, I could come here to 3 and then I could come away from there to figure out where actually my 3 is down here. Why not? This is a 3-foot line on the chimney. I'm just going to come in a little bit right and left to create a fireplace opening about equal on both sides since I'm in one point. The bottom, I would go in just a little bit towards vanishing point, and I would see bottom of the chimney where I could put some wood there. This doesn't have to be too clean. You are going to come over this with ink. So you're going to redraw this in pen at some point anyway. You may just want to erase some things so that you have a clear shot at getting that drawing traced when you're ready to do so. For me, it's important to come into these corners and really mark those kind of heavily so that I can see what's happening in the corners. At 4 feet, I'm going to create the mantelpiece. So I'm going to come and draw a 4-foot line across here, come away from the vanishing point through the thickness of the wall, and say that that's going to attach right here. Come out into the room just a little bit at each corner away from vanishing point and draw another horizontal line. And then drop a vertical line to show the front end of your mantelpiece. We want to bring these 2-foot cabinets out into the room. So come down to this 2 and come in this direction away from vanishing point, and this direction away from vanishing point. And let's come out about to the width of the chimney. So where this line hits the floor, we want to come out, draw a line just below that. Let this come out here and this come towards vanishing point. And then this line here is going to show us how we see the top of those cabinets. The back of your cabinet should line up, the front of your cabinet should line up, and wherever that hits over here, you're going to see a vertical line drop down to the floor and come back in and connect to this line here. And that corner then I want to make nice and precise. So that all lines up well with that. I'm just erasing a little bit so you can see how those cabinets sit back there. It's up to you whether you want to put doors on these cabinets or whether you want to put shelves in these cabinets or whatever it is you want to do. So if I come over here to the kitchen and I look at this area here, it looks like I've come out into the room just about even with these 2 X's. If I draw a line over here, that's about where this countertop starts. So if I come here to this 4-foot line where those X's are, and I pull a line straight up the wall, there's a wall here. This blackness here says that's just a wall. This is cut out so that here between the kitchen and the living room, there's a countertop here, and then there's cabinets here that look into the kitchen. So if you were standing here, you could pass things through into here. And then there's a doorway here, so you could actually enter around into the living room. So here at this X, we've drawn the edge of that where the counter starts. That's 4 feet forward into the room. This out here comes, if I find this X out here, this is 8 feet and this is 12 feet. This is just in front of that 12 feet. For sketching, that's good enough. I'm going to come to this 12. And I'm going to come forward from that just a little bit, and I'm going to draw horizontally and vertically. And this goes to the vanishing point. So there's the bottom corner of this counter. Counters are 3 foot high. They hit right about your waist. So I want to bring this 3-foot line from the vanishing point out into the room. And I want to bring this counter up to that 3-foot height. So this is the front of the counter. This is going to go horizontal, just like the bottom of that does. And it should be about 2.5 feet deep. So I'm going to take this, I'm going to turn it this way. I'm going to say it's going to be a little bit less than that coming in. I'm going to set something up here that looks proportionately like a 2 to 3 or a 2.5 to 3 foot box in there. And then from this corner, I'm headed back towards vanishing point, aren't I? Till I meet this horizontal right here. So I've just drawn this line here vertically and this horizontally. Everything in this floor plan that goes across this way will be drawn horizontally in your drawing. Everything that goes depth this way will be drawn towards a vanishing point. So this edge of the cabinet and this edge of the cabinet go towards vanishing point. This dotted line here indicates a hanging cabinet that's half that deep over top. So I'm going to take this cabinet here, I'm going to divide it in half, draw a vertical line up. The upper cabinet hangs in here. So if this is 3 foot high right here, this is going to be 5 feet. You've got 2 feet in between to pass things back and forth, and it's going to go from 5 to 8. So we're going to say the ceiling of the kitchen happens at 8 feet. So come to 8, draw from your vanishing point through that 8. Get yourself a line going out into the room. And 5 feet to the vanishing point is going the same as the horizontal. So if I take this line right here at the edge of my cabinet, and I bring it up here and I say that's going to be the edge of my cabinet hanging above as well. That's this line right here going vertically. Then the front side of those hanging cabinets, I'm not going to see underneath them because I'm at 5 feet. The top of them is going to drop towards 8. The end of them is going to be here. And then the end of the cabinet is going to come horizontal, top and bottom, right here and right here. And they're going to end at this halfway mark right here. Let's get that more vertically oriented and say those cabinets are going to hang like this. This then is going to be the line. I'm going to continue that out to indicate this is the ceiling of the kitchen. The loft, if you look into the final drawing, has a little overlook. So if you imagine you're standing with your feet here at the 8 feet, your head's going to come 5 or 6 feet up from that, right? So from 8 to 16, we have an 8-foot expanse right here up to the ceiling. So if you're here and you wanted to have a railing come up at your waist height, up here and have a window open at 3 feet from here again, that's going to be 8, 9, 10, 11. So at 11, I'm going to draw the bottom of the window. So I'm going to come from vanishing point up to that 11. Let's make that about 3 feet. If I was 6 feet high, what would it be? 6 and 8 is 14. So let's make it 15. Somewhere between 14 and 15, you can put the top of that window. Make sure that the top and the bottom of this window up in the loft is headed down towards vanishing point, just the way these cabinets are. So everything here is headed down towards this point. And everything over here is headed down towards that point. You can see that there's a window here. It comes about to that X right there. That's your center 8. So here's your first pillar on the right side. Looks like there's another one at 16. So they've set up pillars that go along this side of the room that are going to support the window panes. Tops and bottoms of the pillars facing this direction are going to go to vanishing point, and then here they're going to go horizontal in, horizontal in. So that here you see the bottom of that. And here you've got something similar happening. I made mine about 8 feet high. Looks like just came down a couple feet from the ceiling to put it in. I'm putting 3 lines here because I want to show the top of the board and the front of the board that would support those windows. This sofa looks like it sits centered pretty much on that 8-foot line. So here's my 8-foot line. Looks like I want to go just behind it, but not quite to the 4-foot X. So I'm going to put a line here that's going to be the back of it. And put a line just in front of that. That's going to be the front of it, not up to my 12. I'm just kind of sketching in a bounding box. Looks like the end of that comes right out from the edge of this point here. So I come this way into the room from there. It looks like the end of that sofa is going to be here. And this end of the sofa is going to be halfway along this 6 here. So I'm going to come halfway here to the floor, draw a line out of the room this way. I want to make sure that's headed to vanishing point, and this is headed to vanishing point, and I now have a good footprint for this sofa right here. This sofa comes outside of that, so I've jumped over here just a little bit to the left. I'm coming out in the room. I want to have 3 feet of space in here to walk, right? So I'm going to come about halfway here where this hits the floor, I think is a good spot to come out and draw this sofa in. So I'm going to say that sofa is going to sit. It's going to come, see, I'm looking for the front of these two, so I'm not going to come back here. I'm going to come up to here and say this sofa fits right in here and out away from vanishing point on these 2 sides. Then this is going to come out to the 16 at the end of it. So I'm going to come right to here. So there's the footprint for that. This table hits an X right there and comes over to about here. So that's the width of it. If I go vanishing point off of this, vanishing point, actually that wants to come into here, doesn't it? Because that's like halfway through here. I'm gonna come this way here. Let's see, that table's gonna be about this wide. It's gonna come out in front of this guy from here to here, it looks like. So here's a footprint for that oval table. I might imagine that like a circle here and a circle here, and say there's going to be an ellipse here and an ellipse here that are going to kind of overlap each other. And then it's going to be something like that. So then I can extrude that up 1.5 feet because that's a coffee table, right? So I want to find 3 feet out here in the room. In order to do those boxes, I'm going to come up. This is 3 feet right here, isn't it? So if I walk this corner across to where it hits that sofa, and then I come up on the back of that sofa until this hits the back of the sofa, then I know this is 3 feet right here. I can take this point that I've drawn into the room here and say that's going to be 3 feet for the sofa. So I've basically walked this line here. I walked along the floor till I hit this line back here, and then I went straight up. And then I walked this line out until it hit that. So I found 3 feet right here. And then I went to vanishing point to extrude that out so that I could figure out where these were 3 feet. So then this is going to come horizontal and horizontal here. This is going to come vertical. And it's going to come vertical, and that these two should meet on their way to vanishing point as well. But that sets me up a nice bounding box then for the sofa. If I come halfway up here, that's where my seat's going to be. It's going to lean a little bit back here. Halfway up, there's a support board, and then the legs are going to come down in here. You guys should be looking up references and drawing sofas that are more interesting than just the square boxy sofas you've been doing. These two corners are very close to each other, so you're going to come to match this guy to that guy. That's going to serve to walk straight across to the front of the seat. And if that's the front of my seat, I know that's 1.5. So now I'm going to take that, and I'm going to come up here and say that's going to be 3. Actually, I should push it back. Wait, this is the back of my seat. That's 1.5 back there. So I'm going to take that, I'm going to double it. It's going to come up to right about here. I also can take this corner, I can walk over to here, and I can take this 3-foot line that I had for the chimney, and I can walk out into the room, and I can measure that, and I can walk back across to double check it. Looks like they're pretty close. But it looks like the back of that sofa is going to cover most of my fireplace and a bit of the end of this guy here, so that this comes out and up. This will come across. This is going to come towards vanishing point till it hits this guy. And that's going to come up. So it looks like that's going to be right there. Now I can bring this table up to the height of this seat, right? So if I walk through the center of this table and I find this and I come up to 1.5 here, and then I come back out into the room at that height, then I know where the center line is for this table at that height, and I'm going to bring these ellipses up. And I'm going to draw this table in here. You decide if these are going to be wood or metal. If they're metal, then you only need 2 lines. If they're wood, then you need a third to show how they would connect. But I'm going to put a little smile right here and right here and right here to indicate that you're looking down on a cylinder.